At 9:20 yesterday morning, a 911 call was received from the Academy Sports located at 11,900 Atlantic Boulevard. Management from the store called 911 in reference to a male who had entered their store carrying a shotgun. It is the Academy Sports policy to not allow open carrying of firearms in the store. They sell firearms from that store. They service firearms there. It's a normal course of their business that people will bring firearms in. Again, it's their policy not to allow these people to open carry the guns inside the store. A male and a female entered the store carrying an open shotgun. He was stopped at the front door by employees and advised of the policy that he would need to check the gun and carry it back to the firearms section. At that point in time, the male refused to comply. The subject asked the suspect if the gun was loaded. He replied that it was and continued on through the store. It was at that point in time that the employees called 911 to pass on what the information was. Their concern was his demeanor as he walked through the store, really not refusing to comply. Walks back into the gun section. A second employee who works in the gun section came out and confronted that male at that time, advising him that he had to take the gun from him, that he couldn't have the open gun in the store. At that point in time, the male again refused to comply, refused to give up the gun, told them that if they took the gun, that he would blow their heads off. Again, all this information was being relayed through 911 to the sheriff's office. They stayed on the phone with 911. In order to facilitate them exiting the store as fast as possible, they allowed them to complete the transaction. They had purchased some shotgun ammunition and 7.62 ammunition, went to the front of the store. They opened a lane for them, quickly got them out of the store. Again, the entire time keeping on phone with 911. I really need to commend the Academy Sports folks for their actions in this case. It was their quick thinking and their store policies, I believe, that really allowed this to not escalate inside the store. They didn't know for sure at this point in time, but that shotgun that he carried in that store was loaded, and there was no apparent need that we know now that he would have taken that shotgun in the store. So their fast thinking and actions to allow him to exit the store without a real big confrontation really prevented some things, and I'll go into that a little bit more with where their thoughts were at the time. As the responding officers had come into the parking lot, the suspect passed one of the officers, and another officer stopped at the entrance as the truck was passing by. Ordered the driver of the truck, which was a white female, to stop. She refused to stop and continued on to exit the store. As the truck turned in front of the officer, the rear sliding window of the pickup truck opened. The male who was in the passenger seat stuck a revolver out the back window and fired once at the officer. That officer, who was armed with his issued firearm, which is a rifle, fired 7 times at the truck. The truck continued out the driveway exit and westbound onto Atlantic Boulevard, where it stopped just a short distance up Atlantic Boulevard. The female was taken out, and Jacksonville Fire Rescue was called for the male subject. He was announced dead at the scene by Jacksonville Fire Rescue. The officer is 44-year-old Officer Brad Hudson. He's a 17-year police veteran and a 22-year Jacksonville Sheriff's Office veteran. He spent some time in corrections before returning to the street as an officer. Subject and the girl, they lived and worked from an Atlantic self-storage on Mayport Road. She was experiencing some employment issues there at the store. They were in the process of terminating her. She refused to actually go to one of the meetings for her termination. But at 8:55 in the morning, they sent a threatening email to the owner of the Atlantic self-storage that they lived and worked from. The email was very threatening not only the employee, their families' homes. They made threats to Beaches Police Departments and any law enforcement officer and anybody who stood in their way. They would basically take out or kill. It's fortunate that the officers were where they were at the time. These subjects, I'm not sure exactly what their intent was. Obviously, to know his intent, we'll never know. She was cooperative, but they went in to purchase ammunition and to continue on shortly thereafter. Within 20 minutes of sending this threatening email, threatening all kinds of people's lives, they actually went out, purchased ammunition, and probably the first place that they could find it, and who knows where they were going from there. So it's a tragic event, but it's fortunate that the officers were there to kind of prevent who knows what from happening at that point in time. The one shotgun that he carried into the store, it was loaded. He also had the handgun that he used for shooting at the officer in a holster concealed as he went into the store. So he actually went into that Academy Sports carrying 2 loaded guns, again, with an intention of doing what? The female was cooperative, discussed the email, discussed some of the demeanor that the subject had in the months preceding yesterday's shooting. He is not actually fully identified, but thought to be 56-year-old Leslie Cowan. Now, he is from Texas. He has not been positively identified yet. He has no local criminal record, was only stopped one time and confronted or spoken with by officers in 2006. And that was just a field contact that they had with him. The female is 51-year-old Tammy Lynn Gill, G-I-L-L, and she is from Arizona. The two of them met several years ago on the internet and moved over to Jacksonville, where they lived and worked out of this Atlantic self-storage. She was charged yesterday with fleeing and attempting to elude, carrying a concealed firearm, as there was a .22 handgun in the pistol, or excuse me, in the truck that was next to her, and as well as the fleeing and attempting to elude and making the written threats from the email that she had sent immediately preceding going to the store.